Welcome back to the exciting book of Genesis, continuing on, and today we're going to be taking a look again at chapter 19. So we're going to call this Genesis 19 C. You know, so y'all willing, there will be no D. You know. All right, so let's jump right in. I'm gonna start off with doing just a little recap. You know, within chapter 18, we saw Yah confirming His promise concerning Sarah, concerning Sarah, and we determined that Sarah is typical or symbolic of the new covenant. You know, and that new covenant, as Sarah will give birth in her old age. You know, now afterwards we were told that Yah sends his two angels into Sodom, which is symbolically or spiritually Jerusalem, you know, to bear witness to his wickedness. And we talked about how that was significant and how it was also symbolic of the two witnesses that would come in the end times. You know, now once there, they entered into the house of Lot, and we spoke about the symbolism of Lot and how he was a symbol of the priesthood in the house of Judah, you know. Okay, now take note that this occurs prior to the birth of Isaac. You know, this destruction of Jerusalem takes place prior to the birth of Isaac, thereby showing us that it is in reference to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD in particular. You know, because Sarah represents the new covenant. So when the temple was first destroyed, Sarah wasn't on the scene, you know, and so it can only speak to one time. If Sarah represents the New Testament, it can only speak to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Now, a similar occurrence is prophesied to happen again, in which the two witnesses will be destroyed, this time in spiritual Sodom, i.e. Jerusalem. Therefore, to learn more concerning this very important time, that time to come, we'll continue to view things through these lenses, through the symbolic, the spiritual lenses that Scripture is showing us. You know, that we might understand tomorrow's news even today, because we know our Heavenly Father tells the end even from the beginning. Amen?
Amen.
You know, so thus far we've learned that the two witnesses or two angels will again be sent to spiritual Sodom, that is Jerusalem, to bear witness to the level of wickedness done there during the time of the measurement of the new temple. You know, so I don't think we have to worry about that because there is no new temple as of now, and so there's no measurement going on. You know.
His thou hear any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. And for he will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of people. He will have sent to us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons, which married his daughters, and said, Up and get you out of this place, for Yahuwah will destroy the city. For he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
Hallelujah. Okay, so we see here in verse 12 it says, And whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place, because Yahuwah has sent us to destroy it. You know, and Lot went out and he spake unto his son-in-laws, and you know, and tried to save them, but it says that he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. You know, they thought he was joking. You know, thought he was playing. You know, he was really serious. You know, but you know that's how it's going to be. You know, in the last days. You know, because Luke 17:28-30 teaches us. It says, likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat it, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built it. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. You know, so it's going to be very similar to as it was during this time. You know, and so we're going to have the two witnesses. They're going to be on the earth. They're going to be doing their thing, you know, and we're going to be out trying to tell people that, hey, it's about to go down, you know, and they're going to think that we're playing. They're going to think it's a joke, you know. They're not going to believe it. They're going to continue on eating and drinking and buying and selling and planting and building, you know, but it's going to be actually something really serious, you know. So let's continue on with verses 15 through 17, please, my next reader.
And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, Yahuwah being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed.
Hallelujah. Okay, so here it's going down. You know, the destruction is starting to take place. You know, Lot tried to convince the son-in-laws, and you know, they wasn't hearing it. They thought it was a joke. You know, now it's the morning arises. The angels are hastening Lot. You know, and they're telling him, you know, you got to get up out the city. You know, and he was taking his time, and you know, they put hands on him. They laid hands on him, and they took him out the city. You know, so this is teaching us that, you know, in order for us to be saved, we're going to have to get up out that city. You know, if we're in that city, we're going to have to get up out of there. You know, this is the spiritual picture that's being shown to us. And when we leave, we're to not look behind. You know, but we're to escape to the mountain. You know, so what is this word look? This word look is nabah. Number 5027, meaning to regard with pleasure, favor, or care. We're to get up out of there, and we're not to care about what's about to happen. You know, we're not to look back at it with pleasure, you know, favor or care. We're just to get gone. Amen. You know, now Luke 21, 20 and 21 also speaks to this. It says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let them that are in the countries enter thereinto. You know, so what I want you to see is the similarity betwixt the time of Lot and the time that's to come. Okay? Because in both cases, we're told to get up out of there. Flee into the mountain. You know, and, you know, I could have put the passage up here where Yeshua was warning them and saying, you know, want to be on the roof, you know, let them not come down and take nothing out the house. You know, want to be in the field, let them not turn back to go get nothing. Just keep it moving. You know, because, you know, don't look back. Escape to the mountain. You know, he says when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, when it's surrounded by armies, then we know. That's when we know. You know, so that's the sign. It said, flee to the mountains. You know, even as during the time of Lot, the angels told him and his family to escape to the mountain. All right, verses 18 through 22, my next reader, please.
And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Adonai. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold now, the city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar.
Okay, so here it is. you know, Lot's response is, oh, not so, my Adonai. You know, I can't make it over there. You know, so he said, I can't make it to the mountain. You know, let me go over here to Zoar. Now, the interesting thing about Zoar, you know, and it's a beautiful picture that's entailed, the spiritual message that's behind this passage. You know, Genesis 14:8 teaches us what Zoar was actually called previously. It says, and there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. The same is Zoar, or Zor. And they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim. Now, Zor means destruction. You know, so we can see that this city was set up for destruction. Amen. You know, so the spiritual picture that's being presented here is righteous Lot living up to his name. Now, Lot's name means to cover. And as we spoke about how he symbolized, he was a symbolic representation of the priesthood, whose job it is to cover Yah's people. You know, we see here how the righteous can cover the wicked. See, because Zoar was labeled for destruction. Its name even meant destruction. The only reason it was not destroyed is because of Lot and the covering that was on him. In fact, that covering was so strong that we see in verse 22, it says, haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou come thither. Can't do nothing until you gone. You the covering for this place. I got to get rid of the covering before I can destroy it. You see, it's the same thing with us. They got to get past our covering in order to destroy us. You know, and as long as we keep our covering, we good. Hallelujah. You know, so the righteous are a covering even for the wicked. You know, we see this example also in Rahab. You know, and if you remember the story of Rahab, when the two witnesses went into Jericho, and they were taken in by Rahab, you know, same story really. They were taken in by Rahab, and Rahab helped them, and in exchange, they told Rahab, any and everyone that's in your house shall be saved as long as you have this this scarlet thread hanging out your window so that we know where you are. You know, the same rope that you let us down by, you know. So, again, we see when they came and destroyed Jericho that Rahab and her family was spared. Again, showing the covering of the righteous upon, you know, can even protect the wicked. You know, and so I want you to be able to see that, because it's going to be the same way in the end times. You know, it's going to be the same way in the end times. You know, so we see here Lot is actually living up to his name. He's actually covering, you know, and he causes the wicked people that's in Zoar. See, they all owe thanks to Lot, and they didn't even know it. You know, but they owe big thanks to Lot because they were supposed to be destroyed too. Now, it also tells us, and we hereby learn that there will be one place that is sure to be safe, and that's the original place that the angels, that the two witnesses told Lot to go to. That's the same place that Yeshua, you know, and Luke told the people that's in Judea to go to, and that is to the mountain. You know, you can always find refuge in the mountain. You can always find safety in the mountain. You can always find Yah's peace in the mountain. All you got to do is get yourself over to the mountain. You say, what mountain, Pastor Obadiah? Any mountain? No. I'm glad you asked. Sit back. I'll learn you something. Daniel, chapter 2, verses 34 and 35, it says, thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Verse 35, then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the shaft of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that was smote, the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. See, now, this is the mountain that's being spoken of. You know, our Messiah spoke of this very same mountain because he was that stone that was cut that smoked the image. Amen?
Amen.
You know, now Luke 17:20-24, it teaches us, it says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of Elohim should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of Elohim is within you. And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. And they shall say to you, see here or see there, go not after them, nor follow them. For as the lightning that lighteneth out of the one part under the heaven shineth unto the other part under the heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. See, so I pray that you can see that the kingdom or the mountain that you can always find refuge in is the kingdom of Elohim.
Hallelujah.
You know, get yourself in the kingdom of Elohim and you don't have anything to worry about concerning the destruction of Sodom, spiritual Sodom, Jerusalem, the world as a whole. You don't have to worry about none of that stuff. Just get into the mountain.
Hallelujah.
You know, so I pray that you get into the mountain or get the mountain in you. Amen. You know, because that's where your safety lies. Genesis 19:23. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. You know, so it speaks of when Lot entered into Zoar, you know, that the sun was upon the earth. And, you know, the spiritual picture, it's a spiritual picture here too, you know, Lot meaning the covering, you know, is, and Zoar being Bela, is also a picture of the priesthood entering into destruction. And, you know, but I digress. Malachi 4:1-6, you know, also speaks to this time. You know, it says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be as ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth. Remember ye the law of Moshe my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I send you Elijah, Eliyahu, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahuwah. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. You know, so we see that during the end times, when the Messiah will come and when the day of Yahuwah is at hand, and it will burn as an oven. You know, and our Messiah, the Son of Righteousness, shall arise with healing in his wings for everyone that's in the mountain. So if you're in the mountain, you don't have anything to worry about, because when the sun arises, you're not going to get burnt. You know, you're not going to get scorched. You know, but he's going to arise with healing in his wings for those of us who are in the mountain. You know, and so he says, remember the Torah of Moshe. That's his commandments, his judgments, his statutes. You know, and he says he will send Eliyahu the prophet before the coming. You know, so here it is, as it was during the time of Lot, so it's going to be in the end times. Genesis 19:24-25. Then Yahuwah rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahuwah out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. You know, this is not going to be a fun time for those in that area. You can see that, right?
Right.
You know, it wasn't a fun time for Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's not going to be a fun time for spiritual Sodom and Jerusalem either. You know, this is going to be the time when the two witnesses are going to be on the earth, and they're going to be wreaking havoc. You know, and you have to understand this, because You know, these things are prophesied to come. They happened before, and as Solomon said, the same thing that happened before will happen again.
Yes.
You know, Revelations 11:4-6, speaking about these two witnesses, says, these are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. Hello, Elijah. And have power over the waters to turn them to blood and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. Hello, Moshe. Now, these two are going to be on the earth. They're going to be doing their thing. They're going to be bringing destruction. You know, and the people, you know, are going to be perturbed by them. We'll just put it that way. You know, and see, but the thing that you have to know and understand is that even though they're going to be the good guys, they're going to be perceived as the bad guys.
Right.
Because of the destruction that they're going to be bringing forth, they're going to be perceived as the bad guys. But those of us who are righteous, we're going to be by their sides. We're going to be working to help them. You know, we're going to even be like Abraham, praying for them, trying to cover them. Amen.
Amen.
You know, trying to cover the ones who's supposed to be covering. You know, even as Abraham was covering Lot, who was supposed to be a covering. You know, so this is the picture that we're being shown. Zechariah 14:1-3 also speaks to this time. It says, behold, the day of Yahuwah cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations as he fought in the day of battle.
Yeah.
You know, so I want you to know and understand that this thing is going to happen again. You know, may happen in our lifetime, may happen in our kids' lifetimes or our grandkids' lifetime, or even our great-grandkids' lifetime, but it's going to happen. It's written and it's going to be done.
Right.
You know, it's just a matter of when. But Scripture teaches that when it's begin to unfold, it's going to unfold fast. You know, so we see like as fast as they can put up structures now today, it could very well still happen in our lifetime.
Yep.
You know, who knows? But what we do know is what Scripture say. What we do know is what's going to happen because we have tomorrow's newspaper even before our very eyes. Amen?
Amen.
Genesis 19:26 says, but his wife, speaking about Lot's wife, looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Again, this word look is nabat. Number 5027 in the Strong's meaning to regard with pleasure, favor, or care. She looked back regarding, you know, Sodom. She looked back with pleasure. She had favor for it. She cared for it. Hence, she turned to a pillar of salt. Now, the book of wisdom, it gives us some insight into Lot's wife. Wisdom, book of wisdom 10, chapter 10, verses 6 and 7 says, when the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man, who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities, of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness. And a standing pillar of salt is a monument as an unbelieving soul. You know, so this is the story of Lot's wife to be a pillar of salt, a monument of an unbelieving soul. Is that Lot's wife? Is that her? You know, still witnessing that that she was wicked and that's not the way to go. So let that be a lesson to you. You know, Genesis 19:27-29, my next reader, please.
And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before Yah. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. When he overthrew the cities, in the which Lot dwelt.
Hallelujah. Okay, so again, the same thing that happened will happen again. You know, this stuff is going to transpire again. You know, Yeshayahu, Isaiah 31 verse 9 speaks to this. It says, and he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith Yahuwah, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. See, this is the purification process. This was the purification process for Jerusalem and the Levitical priesthood, you know, with that Lot represented. You know, that's going to happen again. You know, it said even in verse 28, you know, Abraham, he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. You know, don't think that that's just coincidence that Isaiah is speaking about the same thing, you know, concerning what's to come. See, because he's going to use Jerusalem, he's going to use Zion, you know, to put his fire, to make it as a furnace, to purify, you know, his righteous. You know, and so this is what's being taught, you know, behind the words. You know, Ezekiel 22, 14 through 16, you know, speaks about the purification of the rest of Israel. You know, this would be the purification of the Levitical priesthood, Jerusalem and the Levitical priesthood, you know, but the rest of Israel, they're being purified as well. They don't get off scot-free, you know, or they haven't gotten off scot-free, we should say. You know, Ezekiel 22, 14 through 16, can thine heart endure, or can thy hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, Yahuwah, have spoken it and will do it. And I will scatter thee among the heathen and disperse thee in the countries, and will consume thy filthiness out of thee. And thou shalt take thine inheritance in thyself in the sight of the heathen, and thou shalt know that I am Yahuwah. You know, so everyone that's going to be in that mountain, everyone that's going to be in the kingdom of Elohim is going to be purified. You know, they're going to go through some type of purification. Hallelujah. They're going to go through some type of purification process. You know, so know that. You know, and when the fiery trials that come upon you because of your faith in Yahshua, you know, because of his name's sake or because of righteousness' sake come upon you, then just count it all joy because you're being purified. Amen? Amen. You're being purified. Remember that it was determined that Genesis 19 speaks to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD in particular. That said, what follows speak to what happened after that destruction. You know, and so we have Genesis 19:30. It says, and Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. Now, this word cave is Mehara. It's Mehara. Hallelujah. Hallelujah anyway, right? Is Mahara, and it means a cavern as dark. And so what I want you to see is the spiritual significance of them dwelling in this dark cave. You know, we're told that Lot, who represents the priesthood, is now dwelling in a cave, he and his two daughters. This is a spiritual picture of the priesthood dwelling in darkness. The priesthood dwelling in darkness, and I'm here to tell you that since 70 AD, since the temple was destroyed, the priesthood has been dwelling in darkness. They are still in darkness along with his two daughters. You know, well, they were in darkness, and the two daughters are going to do something they shouldn't. We'll put it like that. Right. You know, let's take a look at Lamentations 2:8 through 10 before we get there. It says, Yahuwah hath purposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion, and he hath stretched out a line. He hath not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore he made the rampart and the wall to lament. They languish together. See now, you know, if Lot represents the priesthood, you know, his two daughters represents the daughters of Jerusalem and Zion. You know, and so it's telling us in Lamentations what Yah has purposed to do. You know, it continues on in verse 9. It says, her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from Yahuwah. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit upon the ground and keep silence. They have cast up dust upon their heads. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. This truly is what happened. This is truly what happened to the priesthood, to Lot, after the destruction of the temple. You know, now they're dwelling in darkness. They're in this Mahara, this cavern, this dark cave. And what happens? Let me have my next reader read verses 31 through 36.
And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she rose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father.
Hallelujah. You know, yeah, that was some filth going on. Yep. You know, and so here it is, we see, you know, through this incestuous relations that both daughters were with child by their own father. Verses 37 and 38 continues, and it says, And the firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon this day. Moab means of his father, and Ben-Ami means son of his people. Both of them are quite revelatory, aren't they? Yeah. Ammon means inbred. You know, now, who do they represent spiritually? You know, I'm going to seek to show you the daughters of Jerusalem and Zion. You know, Yahushua spoke concerning them. He spoke to them in Yochanan 8:39 through 44. He said, And they answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yahushua saith unto them, If you were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. Now here it is, they're having a discussion. They're having a discussion, a debate as to who their father is. See, our father, Yahushua, is about to enlighten them as to who their real father is. You know, they've been told one thing, they had one understanding, but like when that type of crap goes on in families, they oftentimes lie to the children. Yeah. Amen? Amen. They don't tell them the truth. They don't tell them your daddy is really your granddaddy. They lie to them. You know, now here it is, the Messiah is going to tell them the truth, because the truth shall set you free. Hallelujah. All right, it says, They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yahushua saith unto them, If ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. Why? Because like father, like son. He goes on to verse 40, says, But now ye seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth, which I have heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham. Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, We be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Elohim. See, now you see how they switched it up. First they were saying, well, Abraham is our father. Now he done showed them that, you know, Abraham not your father. So now they say, okay, well, Elohim is our father. You know, and he got news for him again. Yahushua said unto them, if Elohim were your father, ye will love me. For I proceeded forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. You know, see, they were of their father, even as Moab was of his father. They were the son of his people, even as Ben-Ami was the son of his people. They were inbred, even as the Ammonites were inbred. Do you see what Yahshua is saying?
Yes.
You know, he gave another parable concerning the same thing of the wheat and the tares. He said the tares were the children, the wheat were the children of the kingdom, and the tares were the children of the devil. You know, don't you know that they're even within our very midst? You have to know and understand these things. See, because Moab and Ben-Ami, the Ammonites and the Moabites, they went on to be some of the greatest enemies to Yah's people. Even as those tares are some of our greatest enemies. I pray you can see the... Hallelujah anyway. I pray that you can see the correlation. I don't know what's going on. We know he the prince of the airwaves. You know, he out doing himself today. We done switched mics and he's still going. You know, but hallelujah anyway. This word gonna come forth. Deuteronomy 23, 1 through 6, it says, he that is wounded in the stones or have his privy member cut off shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. It goes on to say, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. You know, and this is what we came for. It says, an Ammonite or a Moabite, those who are of their father, shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. How long? Forever. Yes. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way when ye came forth out of Mizraim. And because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. See, now this was a very, very, very revelatory picture. You know, when they did this, because it was showing that the sons of Lot, i.e. the sons of the priesthood, would cause the children of Yah to become cursed, would cause them to worship other gods. See, and that's exactly what that priesthood did. At some point, it went astray. It began to cause the children of Elohim to worship other gods. It begins to cause them to become accursed of the Most High El. Yes. Verse 5 and 6 of Deuteronomy 23. Nevertheless, Yahuwah thy Elohim would not hearken unto Balaam. But Yahuwah thy Elohim turned the curse into a blessing. Hallelujah. Unto thee, because Yahuwah thy Elohim loved thee. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever. If you know you dealing with a happy heathen, if you know you dealing with a child of the devil, then you're not to even seek their peace nor their prosperity. That word prosperity in the Hebrew is tov. It means good. You don't want nothing from them.
Hallelujah.
Let them keep it moving. You don't want anything from them but to be left alone. Oh my goodness, how time flies. That's all I have for you today. Pray it was a blessing.